Hey everyone, welcome into the Ben Maynard program. Thanks for being here. As you can see, I'm once again out of my studio. It's a chilly 44 degrees here, but it's okay. Still have my house guest, and not a big deal. We're going to get into it. We're going to have some fun. I've got a really neat guest that I'm going to introduce to you in a minute. But before we do that, let me remind you that this program is available wherever you get your podcasts. Just search the Ben Maynard program. Boom, it's right there. Go with it, download it, share it with all your people, and give me a 5-star rating because you guys know that I deserve it. However, if you can't resist this right here and you're watching on YouTube, then thank you for doing that. But do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, give me a thumbs up. Yep, give me one of those, and leave a comment. You guys know I reply to all your comments. Last but not least, follow me on Instagram, simply Ben Maynard Program, all one word, or where I'm a little more active on the TikTok. That's at the Ben Maynard Program. So there are plenty of ways to take in this show for your dancing and listening pleasure. With that, I want to introduce to you guys retired police sergeant after a 32-year career in law enforcement, of which 16 of those were a part of an elite SWAT group. He's also been part of 2 reality shows. I want to get into that one. That's fun. And so without further ado, let me introduce to you Jim Vaglica. And there he is. How you doing, Jim?
Hey, Ben.
So thanks for doing this. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad you invited me. Let's talk. Let's have some fun, man.
Yes, let's do it. So, all right. 32 years in law enforcement. As kids, every young boy dreams of being a cowboy, dreams of being a firefighter, doctor, police officer, that kind of thing. What was what was your inspiration for wanting to go into law enforcement?
My situation was probably different than most. I just was going nowhere. I had no direction. I had no guidance. My parents owned their own business, so they were always working.
Yeah.
And I was running the streets at a young age. I graduated high school with no plan, like a part-time job delivering TVs, and I was really going nowhere. And then my friends, who I grew up with from the neighborhood, they started getting into trouble, like real trouble, and I said, all right, I got to do something. I can't follow my friends to prison, right? So another buddy of mine convinced me. He was going to this community college, and he said, just sign up and go. It's easy, right? So after that first semester of doing nothing, I signed up and I went, and they looked at my grades and they said, we're going to take it really easy on you. So I got through that first semester, and then they said, well, you need to pick a major. And I looked at their majors. They weren't offering much, right? And then and so like liberal arts was a choice, and I just felt like liberal arts was like lame, like you couldn't make a choice, so then you just chose liberal arts. I wasn't going to do that. And there was one major that they offered was law enforcement, and I said, all right, at least that sounds like it might be interesting. And I declared my major as law enforcement, like out of the blue, like with nothing else to do.
Okay.
And I found that the classes were interesting, and they just went from there. Yeah. So in Massachusetts, all right. So in Massachusetts, if you want to be a cop, you take the civil service exam.
Okay.
Right, statewide exam. And so the first chance I got, I signed up for it. And then I get this card back in the mail saying you scored a 99. And I was like, well, it must have been an easy exam, right? So I'm like, well, there's got to be like 1,000 people that scored 100 on this thing. I probably have no chance.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, the department where I lived at the time was Waltham, Massachusetts. And they're like, hey, do you want this job? Come in and sign the list if you want this job. And it just went from there. And before I knew it, I was in the police academy. Just 3 years old.
I'm sorry, how old were you at the time?
I just turned 23.
Oh, okay.
Well,
all right.
I mean, I was still immature. My brain hadn't formed yet. But I made it through the academy and everything worked out.
So you mentioned not wanting to follow your friends to prison. Did some of your friends that you grew up with actually go to prison?
Yes. Drug dealing,
Holy cow.
violence. So one of my good buddies, right, got shot by a Waltham cop.
Okay.
And then that cop was my first partner. Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if the department did that on purpose or what, but that's how it worked out.
So what kind of like growing up, what kind of trouble, I mean, what kind of trouble were you guys getting into? Because okay, listen, I know I'm still buddies with the guys that I grew up with. I mean, we've been friends for over 50 years. And I know when we were growing up, the stuff that we did, we were going out and throwing oranges at cars as they would pass by, or we would stuff clothes with newspaper and make dummies and throw them out in the street when people would drive by, so they think they hit a person or that stuff like that. We go get a purse and tie fishing string to it and throw it out in the street. When people stop to pick it up, we pull the fishing string, stuff like that. I mean, we weren't out there knocking over old ladies for their Social Security checks or anything like that.
No, we did all that stupid stuff.
Okay, all right.
But then they graduated, right?
I don't know. Do you actually call it a graduation?
I just did.
Yeah.
I don't know. They graduated to a higher level. And
yeah.
I wasn't about to do that. I mean, I was out with my friends. Like at some point, those neighborhood guys, I outgrew them or whatever, and I had some new friends, and we would still get in trouble, but nothing big.
Yeah.
I never robbed anybody or anything. But anyway, yeah. I did all that stuff.
I hear you. So okay, so you get hired on Waltham, right?
Waltham.
Yeah, okay. So you get hired on at 23. You're going into the academy and all that. What kind of, how's that experience for you?
It was different, definitely. I saw it as a challenge. I see a lot of my life as a challenge, and I'm always looking for my next challenge.
Okay.
Which helped me along the way because I wanted to step up. At the time, my academy was, I think it was 13 weeks, right? So just over 3 months, and now the academy was over 6 months. So it was kind of a basic police academy. We went on runs. We learned to march, and defensive driving was a blast, and shooting. I'd never shot a gun before I went to the academy, which turned out to be good because I didn't develop any bad habits before they could teach me the right way.
Yeah.
It went by pretty quick, and before I knew it, I was on the street.
Was it kind of just a shock because police training is rather militaristic, and for a kid who's out used to running the streets and being on your own and doing that kind of stuff, getting into mischief, that type of thing, was it kind of a shock?
I knew what I had to do, and I was young, and I wasn't going to try and buck the system.
Yeah.
I knew that if I was going to screw off and talk back to the instructors and whatnot, I wasn't going to make it through. And that's the only thing I had. That's the only thing I had in my life. If I didn't have that, if I got thrown out of the academy, I'd be nowhere. I'd be nowhere. So I did what I had to.
It sounds like basically that was your opportunity to finally grow up, and that was it. Yeah, one way to go. That's great. That's great. So, do you remember the very first arrest that you made?
Someone else asked me that question. I believe it was just some chicken trespassing arrest, and it was an overnight shift, and we rode 2-man cars. So, I'm the new guy in a car. I just do what I'm told.
Yeah.
And we were checking, I don't know, back parking lots, looking for people that were doing break-ins.
Right.
And we ran into these 3 people in a car, and so my partner was a veteran. He knew them all, and he knew that they were part of the system. So well, there's a no trespassing sign. You guys are all going in.
Right.
It was really uneventful and lame, but that was my first arrest.
Okay. Before I get into like anything too serious, what about your, let me rephrase it this way. What's the best part and the worst part of police work?
The best part for me would be catching the bad guy.
Yeah.
Just your basic, right? It doesn't get any more basic than catching the bad guy. And I loved it. I loved foot chases. I loved car chases. That's when your adrenaline goes, right? And if you can catch a legitimate bad guy, then that's great satisfaction there, right?
Of course.
Helping people is always great. It gives you a good feeling, but I hardly ever felt that. You know what I mean? It's like I hardly ever felt like I'm really helping someone here, but those few times felt great. And as I got further and further into the job, into my career, I started focusing more on, let's help people. That's my basic goal is to make someone's life better. So if making an arrest, like let's say it was a domestic situation, and I just knew that this was a good family having a bad night,
right?
And making an arrest in this situation is not going to help them. I would do everything I could not to make an arrest. So helping families, helping good people is probably the best part. Catching the bad guys, helping good people, best parts. Worst parts, it could be the boredom, the monotony of slow shifts, overnight shifts where nothing was happening.
Yeah.
the internal stuff, you know, like from the higher ups, from department, like administration, that's always cops' biggest gripe is you know, within the department, the problem they're having. It's not outside, it's not dealing with bad guys. That's something we can handle easily. It's the internal stuff that gets you, you know, like getting in trouble, which I did quite a bit within the department.
Shock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess that would be my.
Okay. Well, I know I shared with you previously that, you know, two of my kids are police officers, and I know that they have said to me more than once, Dad, you don't understand, or not, you don't understand, Dad, but what a lot of the public doesn't get is every day that we're on the job, every day we're out on the streets, we're dealing with the worst of the worst, the scum of the earth, you know, and people don't see that. They don't have that idea about us. And then of course they're always wanting the most grace and expect perfection from their police officers. And I never really put that together, but yeah, it's so true that it's not, you guys aren't out getting kittens out of trees and stuff like that. It's you deal with the worst people on a daily basis. So that's
Yeah.
yeah. And I guess it would be nice or helpful if more of the public understood that. I mean, basically walk in a cop's shoes for one shift, you know, or do you guys in Boston or in the Boston area, do you guys say tours instead of shifts?
When you talking ride-alongs?
Well, when you your daily shift, do you guys call it a shift? Do you call it a tour?
So,
I've
no,
heard it, okay,
no, we don't use the term tour.
Oh, okay. I've heard it called a tour, you know, so that's why I was asking. That's all.
No,
but yeah,
no,
for the public to take a ride along and walk in a cop's shoes, it would be something. I think they would really get a grasp of what police work is. You know?
Yeah, I recommend anyone do a ride along.
Yeah.
I've taken lots of people. We run the Waltham Citizens Academy, and the end of that is a ride along. So people love it, man. People really enjoy it. You know, get out there with a cop for a couple hours, and it's eye opening. You know, it's something really special that anyone should take advantage of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I you know, I wholly agree with that. So, you made a transition to SWAT. How did that, and that was after what? How many years were you on the streets before you did that?
So it was my first opportunity, which was about 10 years in.
Right.
So out in Massachusetts, we have we have a cooperation of departments, cities and towns.
Mm-hmm.
So very, very few police departments need a full-time SWAT team.
Okay.
It's very expensive and time consuming. So only the biggest departments in the country have their own SWAT teams.
Right.
So out in Massachusetts, someone had the great idea to cooperate and join, join all these departments together. And so my area had the first one, and they called it a law enforcement council. So, so my area was covered by the Northeastern Mass Law Enforcement Council. So it's NEMLEC, right? And when they expanded and Waltham joined, I jumped on it, man. It was my goal. My whole career was to, get on SWAT. And so when I left the team, we were up to over 50 cities and towns that we covered. Anytime those 50 communities needed a SWAT team, we would go. So we were on call 24/7. And that's how I got involved in SWAT.
What kind of training is involved in becoming part of a SWAT team? Something that's, more different than what the typical police academy training would be.
The basics of a SWAT team are entries, building entries, serving high-risk warrants, barricaded persons, armed barricaded persons. So we did a lot of training on entries, breaching doors, breaching windows. So you call in a SWAT team because you got a dangerous situation and you want it done as safely as possible.
Right.
People don't realize SWAT teams that get into a lot of shootouts are really not that good of a SWAT team because you're trying to avoid that. And my team had very, very few shootouts with people because we were very effective in how we performed and things that we did correctly that other teams, a lot of small teams don't have the manpower to do it correctly. And we learned from LAPD SWAT.
Okay.
We knew that if we wanted to be a great team, we had to learn from the greatest team. And they've been the gold standard ever since. They were the first SWAT team. They created the word SWAT.
Right.
So every year we would have their top guys come out and do a week of training with us, and they would bring us up to speed on, all right, what's new, because it's always changing, right? What's new? How are we going to improve the way we do things?
Right. Right.
So my team trained twice a month. So 2 full days a month we were training, and then the 1 week a year where we really had some intense stuff from LAPD. And and then everyone was obligated to train on your own, right? Keep up your physical standards. We had very, very high physical standards on my team.
Right.
So that was up to us individually. Yeah, I mean, you can guess how a SWAT team would train.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. So tell me about the most harrowing incident that you were a part of.
So the most famous incident was the Boston Marathon bomb.
The bombing, yeah.
The brothers. And that so we were called in. We assisted Boston on anything major that they had. They weren't part of NEMLEC, but we assisted them when they needed extra manpower, extra teams. So we got called in right after the bombs went off, and we stayed that entire week. And right up until Thursday evening, when the big shootout in Watertown happened, we went into Watertown and we we were there doing the search, all the way up through Friday evening. Everybody remembers the boat, right? The boat sitting in the driveway.
Right. Right.
And everyone was watching that helicopter view. So my team held the inner perimeter on that boat. We were all about 30 feet away, while the FBI was trying to negotiate him out. We all thought that he had, a bomb in there, possibly a suicide vest, possibly, another bomb, and that he was going to sit in and just blow us all up.
Right.
So the standing order was no one approaches the boat. They were trying to get him out so we could safely see that he didn't have a bomb.
Right. And let me, sorry, at this point, one of the brothers was already, wasn't he? Yeah, that's right. Was that the same day or the day before that had happened?
That was Thursday evening.
Okay. All right.
So, and the younger brother got pulled out of the boat Friday evening, full 24 hours later.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know, harrowing. I don't know. I probably had 100 SWAT. I probably had 1,000 SWAT missions over my 16 years.
Yeah.
We got shot at. I've been stabbed at. I don't know. There's too many stories in my dried up old brain right now to pull one out for you. So
yeah, but
I've been to a scene, a homicide scene with 7 bodies. I don't know, Ben.
But okay. But going back to the Boston Marathon bombing. I mean, that was obviously, like you said, that's the highest profile one. I mean, that one made national news. Actually, I think that would probably made world news. Just because of the nature of the incident. It's a world famous marathon for another, and that was what, in 2013, I think it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so really timeline, we're not too terribly far removed from 9/11. It's on the East Coast, so you have all these factors that kind of play a part in it. It's just it was a big time in history. Fortunately, that there were only I think three fatalities.
3 fatalities at the bombing site.
Right.
And then a Boston cop died, I think within a week, of injuries he sustained from the blast.
Okay. So was he a runner, or was he providing security, or?
No, he was there, and they're contributing the concussions of the bomb.
Okay.
To his death.
Gotcha.
And then Sean Collier was executed by the brothers. He was the MIT cop. That was Thursday evening prior to the shootout in Watertown.
Okay. Man, and to be a part of that, though, just that's something. That's something. Have you? And this just came to me. Have you ever considered or been approached to document that, to write your side of the story on that?
No. I did like an audio documentary series.
Okay.
where I was interviewed, a reporter, an investigative reporter, a local Boston girl named Michelle McPhee.
Okay.
She wrote 2 books, and she's the world's foremost authority on the Boston bombers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I mean, I told you if we really got into it, it would take hours, because of all everywhere that their story goes, okay?
Right.
Like, most people don't realize the older brother was a rat for the FBI. Did you ever hear that?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Again, an FBI asset that they lose control of, right? How many times you heard that one? All right, I'm probably gonna blow your mind right now. The
Well, you already
older
blew my mind once, so what's another time?
listen to this, Ben. Listen to this.
All right.
The brother did a triple murder in my city a year before the bombings. You ever hear that?
No.
No.
And obviously got away with it.
Well, it's too late to prosecute him now, but
Yeah.
so get this triple murder, right?
Yeah.
Guess the date that it occurred.
Oh, no. Don't tell me it was the same day as the Boston Marathon.
No, you're close.
Okay.
It was 9/11.
Oh, man. I had to go. It was going to be one or the other. I'm trying to position
Yeah.
myself here. I got the sun coming in now, and I'm trying to position myself here to keep out of the sun. Oh, man. 9/11.
Yeah. And
I'm sure that was on purpose.
he's Muslim, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
coincidence?
No, I don't think so. I
No.
don't think so.
And so he was with an accomplice
Yeah.
for those murders. The motive was a robbery because they robbed drug dealers who they were friends with.
Okay.
And so his accomplice fled to Florida. So the FBI went down to Florida to interview this guy, right? And what do you think happens to him during the interview? The FBI shoots him to death.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
That's a little fishy.
Yeah. And the guy who built the bombs is still running around free right now.
To this day?
Yes, the brothers didn't build the bombs.
Wow.
Yeah, what if anyone's interested in this story, it's fascinating. So look up Michelle McPhee's her first book was called Maximum Harm. And it's a fascinating book, covers the whole thing. But anyway,
Wow.
All right. What
There's
else you got for me?
Wow, that's a lot to. Well, you could just see there's so many different layers to this. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so two reality shows. All right.
Yeah.
How does how does a cop from Waltham become a part of two reality shows?
Okay. So so I told you I love challenges, right?
Yeah.
And so I would compete. I competed in powerlifting, obstacle racing. I did a competition called the Toughest Cop Alive one time for the New England Law Enforcement Games.
All right.
But anyway, at the time, this was back in the day when Survivor was big. Yep.
Yep.
Richard Hatch was the first winner of Survivor. Everybody
Yes,
knows
he
that,
was.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, all right, this looks like a great challenge. I'm gonna apply to this show. And I applied, and of course I didn't hear anything from them, right? But come to find out that casting directors travel around from show to show. They don't just
Oh,
stay
okay.
with one, okay? And if they find someone they like, they'll keep their records just in case something comes up. They go, hey, I remember this guy. I think he would be good for this show that I'm casting now, right?
Right.
So, like, just out of the blue, my cell phone rings, and unknown number. And the guy says, hey, I'm a casting director. You don't know who I am, but I know who you are. I saw your audition tape for Survivor. I'm casting for a new show now, and I think you would be great. So we're doing teams of 3, and I want a Boston area cop team. So go out, find 2 more people, 2 more cops, and then get back to me. And so he could tell me very little about the show. Everything to do with reality TV secret, right? So he only gave me like basic information, but I kind of got the idea it was somewhere between Survivor and Amazing Race.
Okay.
So I grabbed 2 people, two cops from my department, and we just started going further and further in the process. They start with a whole. They start with 1,000 entries, and then they just keep narrowing it down.
Right.
Okay, and we just stayed in the process every time they narrowed it down. Yeah, so that's how it all started.
Let me ask you this. Now, were your buddies, were they like willing participants, or did you have to twist their arm to do this?
Well, first I had to convince them that I wasn't just busting their balls, and that I was serious. That got this phone call and it's for real. But yeah, I mean, once they talked about it with their family, and their family was like, why don't you go for it, man? Yeah, they were definitely willing. And I knew I wasn't going to ask someone that I knew wasn't, adventurous and athletic and tough, and that I could get along with, because I knew I was going to be stuck with these people for a long time.
Right.
So yeah, the first 2 people I asked, he went full steam ahead, and the rest is history.
And what was the name of that reality show?
That was called Expedition Impossible.
Okay.
All right. Everyone gets it wrong, because there's a ton of shows out there with Expedition something.
Yeah.
And then everyone wants to call it Mission Impossible. Hey, Jim, Mission Impossible? No, it wasn't. And it was a Mark Burnett production, right?
Okay.
So Mark Burnett is the man in reality TV.
Yeah, he is. Okay. Yeah.
He started Survivor.
Yep.
And so we met Mark Burnett, and also, like, the name of the show and the location of the show was all secret. So we didn't find out until, like, I think 2 weeks in advance, like, where we were going. And that was an accident. Somebody posted something on the internet. Somebody posted the logo on the internet, and they weren't supposed to. And then we saw it, and we were like, well, that's out of the bag now. So it was taking place in Morocco. And yeah, I had to Google Morocco because I didn't know where it was. Come to find out, it's northwest Africa.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this was January in Boston. Okay. And we had like a foot of snow every month that winter. And we had to train to get ready for the show. Right. They said, you better have endurance. And so we came up with 3 sets of snowshoes. And so we would go on these team snowshoe runs to try and get in shape for what we were guessing we were in for, and we were in for it all right. It was miles and miles of crazy racing. It was an adventure race.
Okay.
And like everything you can think of. And then we lived outside. We would race from camp to camp and then just crash, like eat everything we could and then sleep. And then they would wake us up before the sun came up and we'd start all over again. We did it for 18 straight days.
Wow.
And I loved it, man. I thought it was a magical time. I loved every second of it, no matter how hard it was. Yeah, you can still find it somewhere out there. Expedition Impossible.
I may have to do a search on that one, Jim, just so I can see you there and see how it all worked out.
Yeah, and they tried to get rid of us, but they couldn't. You know, they eliminated a team every week, but we hung in there, man.
You know, I like that, and I like physical stuff. Okay, you know, I like being physical, being active, that kind of thing. And my audience doesn't know this, but remember that reality show Wipeout?
Yeah.
With the obstacle course. See, I love obstacle courses. Okay. I love all that stuff. Yeah. So they had a casting call here locally. Gosh, this had to be 15, 16 years ago, maybe even longer. You know, the show was still fairly new at the time, probably only been on a couple of years. And so I thought, you know, I'm going to go check out this casting call. So this is when ESPN Zone restaurants were around. You know, this is when we started ESPN Zones, various places. And so I went down to the casting call, went by myself, and made it through. And they said, okay, you know what? Somebody's going to get a hold of you, set up an appointment, whatever. Then they gave me an appointment time, tell me I have to go out to Burbank, this little tiny building. It's got these little tiny studios. They call my name. Okay, go into this room, and let me clear some. I got something popping up on my screen here. They call me into this room, set up with a camera, and it had I guess it was maybe maybe an associate producer or something. They start doing a video interview, and they're trying to get they want to feel out your personality and that kind of stuff. And so I went through that process. And it ended up like the video ended up with because they want some meat, you know, and so I just kind of gave them whatever I thought I could give them. I ended up taking my shirt off and, you know, that kind of stuff, you know, for the camera. And needless to say, I never got another call. Really? So I didn't make it to Wipeout. but
so they're looking for certain things, right? So I call them hooks.
Yeah.
And one thing they love is the label. They want to put a label on you, right? So Boston Cop was always my label, you know, but I got SWAT. So they love almost every show has a cop on there, right? They love Boston, right? Because we have these horrible accents. And they love like crazy people. Like crazy people make great reality TV. So
that's a little drama to it all.
I went to many of these open calls.
Okay.
And I learned what they were looking for. Luckily, I had a lot of the hooks already. And then I knew what else they were looking for.
Okay.
They want people who are not reserved. They want people who are not going to hold back.
Definitely, right? Definitely.
And so I would always get callbacks. I can't even remember how many callbacks I've had different shows. And at the time, it was all in-person stuff. like you would actually show up at a bar or a hotel or something. Now they're doing everything online.
I'm gonna move myself, Jim. I'm moving seats. Keep talking.
All right.
All right.
Get out of the sun.
That's it. All right. So let me turn this camera here.
So
okay.
I'm not a huge reality TV fan, but one of my shows is Big Brother.
Okay. I'm familiar.
So that's my favorite, and I watch that one religiously, and I always tried to get on. Okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you've been on another reality show, they don't want you, unless it's a CBS show. Like you can be on Amazing Race, and then they'll take you on Big Brother.
Okay.
But if you're on any other networks shows, they blackball you, right? So my first call back for Big Brother, it was before I got on any shows, but I didn't make it. And then my second call back for Big Brother was after I was on Expedition Impossible. Okay. So as soon as that casting director found out that I was on another show, he's like, oh, well, we can't even go any further. Then they're not going to accept you, right? And I was like, oh, that's stupid, So what was his name? Catalano. Anyway, he was like the main casting director for Big Brother. And what's his name? His first name? Michael, right? So now the next year, there's another open call for Big Brother in Boston. And I'm like, I'm going in there. Hopefully I won't see Michael, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I go in and I don't see him anywhere. And so they interview me. And the interviews are awful because they'll have one casting director and then they'll take like 5 people at once. And you'll go around this table, and then the casting director will just like give you maybe like 5 seconds, hey, tell me why you should be on the show, or tell me something about yourself. And if you don't feel it right away, you're done, right? So I knew what to do. I knew to be kind of a jerk, and I was telling her, why are you casting so many lame people? Anyway, so then she goes, all right, well, I thank you all for coming in. You can all leave now except for you.
Except for you.
Except for you. So she's like, all right, you're going to come back for the next round, okay? And try not to be so much of a jerk. So we'll be in touch, right?
A little bit is okay, but not too much.
Not too much. So then I get set up for an interview, an in-person interview on camera that's going to happen on Friday, right? And so Thursday, my phone rings, and she's like, "Hi, Jim. Yeah, this is so and so from Big Brother. Yeah, Michael saw your name on the list. Don't bother coming in tomorrow." So that was the end of that. I still might try again, though. I still might try, because he left. He's no longer the lead casting director for them. So I might try again.
Yeah, and they're still. Let me see. They're still doing Survivor. They're still doing Amazing Race, I think, and they're still doing Big Brother. So yeah, those 3 shows are still out there.
Those are the big 3.
Yeah. So
I couldn't get on one of the big 3.
Well,
it's not too late.
Yeah, no, it's never too late. There was a documentary that came out not too long ago. It was it 15 minutes of reality, something like that you were what what was that about?
Reality fans and reality contestants.
Okay.
So they focused on me for some reason. The show, the producer of the show, it took him years. Like most documentaries take years to shoot. Some of them take 20 years.
Right.
I think his took probably about 10 years that he, kept on coming out and interviewing me and following me around again. But yeah, it's an hour-long documentary on sort of what it's like to be a super fan and what it's like to be a contestant and what it's like to be a casting director. So they interview people from all angles of reality.
So so in this documentary, did they did they want to put a lot of focus like on your personal life, or was it just more about your experience on the reality shows? What was that all about?
I think it was the life. So for me, they focused on like how did being on a show change my life?
Okay.
If all, and what were my expectations and what is the reality?
Yeah.
To reality shows.
Okay. Okay. I get it. All right.
Like
so
people,
yeah, go ahead.
Like anyone who thinks they're going to get on a reality show and become a famous person, you're more likely to get hit by lightning. Some people did. Some people definitely did get famous.
Yes.
And career on being on a reality show, but it's very, very rare.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So I know that you're into, physical fitness and we talked a little earlier, and you have, you have a website that you're not here to plug because, for whatever reason, and that's okay. But I do want to touch on the physical fitness aspect of it, simply because like we had talked earlier, you and I are both in our 60s, and as we get older, it just seems to be it it really seems to be important to take care of yourself, to stay physically fit, because as we get older, the body doesn't want to do as much as it did, years before. And the only way that we can continue to keep up with what it is that, to keep up as best we can with what we've been able to do in the past physically, is just to stay active and stay moving all the time. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely do something active every day.
Yeah.
And I always say the key to my fitness is I never let it slip. I've been active my entire life.
Yeah.
I never went through a period where I gave up, right? And I stopped being physical and training and working out.
Yeah.
And I always push muscle. Muscle is the key to everything. Diet is important, but building and retaining muscle is the key.
Right.
People want to hear it, especially women. They don't want to hear it. But yeah, any real expert will tell you that. And that's what I focus on, heavy resistance work. And so I always say resistance work because you don't have to lift weights. You can do push-ups, you can do pull-ups, right? You can do
exactly.
But stressing those muscles, at this point in my life, at my age, I'm not going to build any more muscle. So I try and build, and I'm satisfied with retaining.
Yes. At least maintain what it is that you have.
Don't let it go. Don't let an ounce go.
Right. I have a friend of mine he just celebrated his 80th birthday last week. And I'm
Good for
telling
him.
you right now, Jim, that guy looks like, I mean, honestly, he looks like he could be 15 to 20 years younger.
Yeah.
And I mean, him and I, we talk about it. I mean, we both we're look, even at 60, I still consider myself an athlete. Okay. Because that's what I've been, most of my life. But him and I, we talk about it, and it's about resistance training. If you can
Yeah.
lift weights, go ahead and lift weights, but not everybody has that available to them. So it's all about creating resistance, whether it's through body weight, through bands, that type of stuff. And it's staying active. It's staying, it's just keeping yourself moving and creating resistance.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
And too many people want to, go for a brisk walk. Spend an hour on the treadmill.
not into that. No.
Yeah. No. You can do that on top of your resistance work.
Right.
But nobody wants to hear that. It's like, oh yeah, I work out. I go for a walk every other day. Well, walking is the oldest form of transportation. That's not a workout. Okay. You need to stress your muscles, every single muscle in your body.
Yes.
That's the key to it all.
Yeah. Completely agree with that. Every year on my friend's birthday, he takes a picture of himself with his shirt off. And, it's like, I'll tell you, the last picture he sent me with his shirt off, I was like, man, it just made me want to put on a second shirt. I couldn't believe it. I just, he sent it to me, and then I texted him back. I said, you and I are never standing shoulder to shoulder with our shirts off. I said, because, my abs are never going to look like yours. I was just amazed. But yeah, it is so good, and look, we all want to live long, healthy lives. The longer you live, you don't want to make it harder on yourself. And that's the problem with a lot of folks as they get older. Yeah, we all slow down, but you don't want to be to the point where you're having to use a walker or a cane because you've let your muscles go, and you have no muscle mass any longer, and you can't carry yourself, or you don't want to be bedridden. You don't want to just be sitting in a chair all day and all night. You want to get out there, and if you're going to live to be 100, come on, do it right.
Yeah, it's about quality, not quantity.
Right.
I think the vast majority of people live too long now. I always say I want to die with my boots on, right? I certainly don't want to spend my final year or two laying in a bed. That's
No.
not life.
Yeah,
So get out there.
that's not quality at all. No.
No. Get out there and live and be active and be strong. Be strong.
Well, just so you know, Jim, being that I'm 60, I'm only at midlife because I've told my family I'm living to 120, so I'm gonna outlive even my grandkids, and I'm gonna piss them all off.
Well, it's possible. It's possible. I
Yeah.
certainly don't want to outlive my grandchildren, but yeah, let's see what happens. Let's hang in there.
Yeah. What is kind of some of your fitness routine besides obviously resistance? I mean, be a little maybe a little more specific in that.
I do the first thing I do when I hit the gym is I stretch because
Yeah.
it's awful, it's boring, it's painful, and if I don't get it over with first, I won't do it.
Yeah.
So then I foam roll, foam rolling changed my life.
Wow.
Anyone, yeah, you got to try foam rolling. It's painful as hell. You'll hate it, okay? But that pain that you find is a problem. There's a problem in that area.
Yeah.
It's too tight. There's scar tissue built up, and you're breaking up that scar tissue. And it will give you flexibility. It will give you strength. It took me, I don't know, maybe years, but I cannot find any more pain throughout my whole body when I foam roll now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's key. You want to get to that point. Takes a long time. Takes a long, painful time.
Yeah.
But do it. Just, so that's the second thing I do. Running, I think, is important. So my gym has an outdoor track, and as long as there's not snow on it, I'll go out there and I'll do a couple of laps.
Okay.
And I always say that if you have to run, let's say you have to save a baby or whatever, right? And you need to move, you need to get there as fast as possible, right? You're not going to jog. You're not even going to run. You're going to sprint. Right?
Yes.
So if you haven't sprinted in 20 years and you go out and try and sprint, what do you think is going to happen? Right?
It's not going to happen.
So I try and sprint every time I go and I work out, right? And again, you got to ease into that. And then I'll hit a heavy bag, because what if I have to fight somebody, right? The same thing's going to happen with sprinting. I'm going to hurt myself trying to punch somebody.
Right.
So that's part of my routine. I'll do body weight squats, which is squats are great, but putting a load on your spine can be a problem, and I can't get away with it anymore. I'll get hurt. One of my vertebrae will twist or whatever. So I'll do body weight squats, and I'll do high numbers, full body weight squats. So that's the beginning of my workout, and that takes me about an hour, and then I'll get right into my resistance work, right? Working my muscles, and then I finish every training. I finish with a sled, so I'll do sled work. We have
wow, yeah.
We've got sleds in my gym, and we've got like a AstroTurf. It's 6 feet long, and I'll hook up a couple of straps. I'll load up the sled with weight, and then I'll pull it back, and then I'll push it forward, and I'll do 5 rounds of that as fast as I can. And talk about getting your heart going, man. Heart and lungs, man, that is a killer. And that's how I end my workout.
And there's your cardio right there, not walking on a treadmill for an hour.
Exactly. I just saw an expert the other day saying that 1 minute of intense cardio is equal to 1 hour of easy cardio. So why spend an hour, right, looking at the TV or reading a book or something?
Yes.
Over with, man. I get it over with fast, and I get more benefit out of it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the frustration of a lot of people, not just men or women, but both combined, is, they'll sign up for a membership at a gym, and they go to the gym and they'll spend 30-40 minutes walking on a treadmill, and they do very little resistance after that. And then they get frustrated and wonder why their body isn't changing. And it's because, you're spending too much time walking. Yeah, it's good for your heart, but you can create all of that cardio work in your resistance training itself.
Yes.
It depends on the pace that you do it. That's why it's you work out for you do a set for a certain amount of time or a certain amount of reps, and you take very little rest in between. That way you keep your heart rate up and you keep it going. It's funny how we went from police work to physical fitness.
Two big aspects of my life.
Yeah. That's all right though. So I've been look, Jim, I'll tell you what, I didn't even know what to expect last week when you and I spoke and set this up. I had no idea what to expect, but I've enjoyed this. This has really, really been good. And you know, I know we didn't go too in depth on this on the whole Boston Marathon thing, but you know, you've probably told that story many times in the past, you know, and it can be kind of tough trying to repeat some of that stuff all the time. So I completely understand. Yeah. But where can people find you if someone wants to look you up? Check out either check out your website, find out more about your reality stardom, and or look, maybe there's somebody watching this or listening to this. I hope they're not watching this. I mean, I'm bleached out from the sun, but somebody listening to this and they want to reach out and get more of your story. Maybe there's someone out there who really wants to document this stuff.
I'm on Twitter or X.
Yeah.
Way too much. And it's my name. It's just at Jim Vaglica, and you'll find me there. And I respond to everyone. And through X, you can get a hold of me. I enjoy podcasts. I listen to podcasts every day.
Yeah.
And I enjoy being a guest and having interesting conversations with people like yourself.
I appreciate that.
I'm open if anybody wants to talk to me. Yeah, I mean, I have all the other social media stuff except TikTok. I refuse to have a TikTok account. But I have all the others. I don't really check them. I have Facebook and yeah, you can find me on all that stuff. You can Google my name and a lot of stuff will pop up.
Well, yeah. Look, Jim, look, I was very resistant on TikTok for a long time. In fact, I've been on TikTok now maybe for, it hasn't even been a year. I was very resistant to it because of all the controversies behind it and all that. But then once word was coming down that that the United States was going to have more ownership and say so in it and that kind of thing, I thought, all right, it'll be a little more safe for me. And I use it to promote this podcast. That's it. You know, I use it for that. And that's about it. I don't go on a bunch of other stuff, but so I hear you on that. And I know there's always been a lot of resistance to TikTok from us older people, not so much the teenagers.
Right. Yeah. No, teenagers, you kidding me? They couldn't live without it.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so I have nothing to promote. I'm not trying to sell anything. So, but if I did, I would probably have to have a TikTok account because everybody looks at now, right? Yeah. One thing that I didn't mention was that I have a screenplay. I wrote a screenplay.
Oh, wow.
And it's professional grade screenplay. It took me 2 years. I was actually part of a whole organization called the Harvard Square Screenwriters. And one of my goals in life is to see that produced to a feature-length movie. But believe it or not, it's a cop story. And yeah, if there's anybody out there with connections that want to read my screenplay, that you can reach out to me for that also.
Nice. That's good. Well, of course, it's going to be cop stuff. It's what you know best. Why not?
That's what you do, man. You write what you know.
That's exactly it. You talked about not having anything to promote, that kind of stuff. And I think that a lot of times that is what helps to provide the best conversations between people, is when there's no agenda. It's just two people coming together and talking. And really that's kind of been the whole purpose of my podcast, besides the music aspect to it, because I do talk a lot about music, but it's just about people coming, telling their story, and having a conversation. And I think that people who are listening to podcasts, who take those in all the time, they just want to hear conversations. They want to hear stories. And
well, we didn't really get into a lot of stories.
No,
we got millions of stories. But so actually, I do have something to promote. Okay. I would like to promote law enforcement in our country.
Yeah.
Okay. Every police department in the entire country is hurting for good personnel. This defund the police movement just decimated our ranks. It vilified police departments, and our applicants dropped off a cliff. So I would like to see more good people apply to police departments. We need good people. So look into your local PD. Anybody young enough to still get on the job, please consider it.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly, Jim. Certainly, we've talked about it, and my audience knows. I mean, my family is, if they're not firefighters, they're police officers, and I have a ton of that. So, and I agree with you. Over the last, it's probably been a good 10, 15 years where cities and agencies they're not getting the best of the best in applicants, in cadets, that kind of stuff. And it's a shame. Fortunately, now in the last year plus, since we changed we changed presidents, we've had an uptick in our military enlistment, and that's beautiful. People are stepping up. They want to serve this country, but we need that type of engagement in our local communities, whether they're big or small cities or townships, whatever it might be. We need that same engagement and that same enthusiasm when it comes to law enforcement. It's so vitally important. Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen. The future just doesn't look great as far as police departments go, and we need to turn it around.
Yeah. And that, I think it's just a whole generational thing, a societal thing, where parents need to go out and be parents and not be friends with their kids. And I think that's where it starts. It starts in the home. The nuclear family is like the bedrock of our country. And it's been crapped on by a lot of outside entities, organizations, people in general. But that's where it begins. When you have a mother and a father in the house, and you're holding your child responsible or accountable for their actions, behaviors, those types of things, those young men and women grow up to be responsible adults and law-abiding adults. And those are the kind of people that law enforcement agencies are looking for.
Yeah. Yes.
So Yeah, no, good on you for calling that out though too, for making that plea. That's good on you for that because it is so important.
I used to do backgrounds for candidates. That was part of my job along my career.
Yeah.
And this was back in the day when we had thousands and thousands of applicants. And, again, going back to the civil service exam, that's how we would find our people. And I would have so many applicants that I could just cut them. If I didn't like something about someone, if I saw a red flag, I'd cut them. I'd move on to the next, right? And I don't think I ever got below a 97 score on the exam, right?
Right.
Now they're looking at people in the 70s. They're scoring in the 70s.
Yeah.
If you're a good, intelligent person and you want to be a cop, you can be a cop right now.
Yes,
and
you can.
if I can inspire someone to go into police work, that would be awesome. That would be one of the best things I can do right now. But let's hope.
Yeah, because it's not a job, it is a career, and it can be a very fruitful career and a fulfilling one as well, not just for the individual, but for, by extension, the family as well. And it's obviously a very noble career too.
It's more than a job.
Yes. Yeah, most definitely. So, so hear that plea, people. Hear it and spread the word.
Please.
Look, Jim, this has been great. It really has been. I've enjoyed it immensely. Stick with me for a moment, and I'm going to wrap this up, but stay with me, okay?
All right. Thank you, Ben. It's been fun.
All right. Yeah. All right. So listen, everyone, I know I'm like half in the sun, half in the shade, but listen, as you guys know, this program is available wherever you get your podcast. Just search the Ben Maynard program. Boom. It's right there. Download it, share it with your people. Give me a 5-star rating because I deserve it. Jim deserves it this morning too. But if you're bearing through the sun and the shadows and you're watching on YouTube, thank you for doing that. Just subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, give me a thumbs up, and leave a comment. All right. Last but not least, follow me on Instagram, simply Ben Maynard Program, all one word, or on the TikTok at the Ben Maynard Program. All right. So with that, we'll cut you guys loose. Enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you again right here on the Ben Maynard Program. Tell a friend.